Hello. Today I want to talk about some different methods of meshing a voxel terrain. The first one I want to talk about is the simplest of them all, and that is just to place a cube uh, for each voxel. And you can see an implementation of this here. You can see I can edit the terrain, and by editing the voxels, I simply remove or add the cubes. It's very intuitive. And it looks fine for some games. For the games, it might look not that great. But one of the big um, positives about this is it's very intuitive what you're actually editing in the voxel terrain. Now I want to show you some other stuff too. There's also another way called Martin cubes. Now this implementation of Martin cubes that I have here is without smoothing, so it'll look a little bit hard, like the edges will be hard edges. And you can see it here. The textures look a little bit wrong. We can talk about that later. But you can see there's some idea of slopes, and it's a little bit smooth, but not really. Some of the downsides is it's very hard to see what you're actually editing. Like if I try to edit stuff here, I have a hard time seeing what I'm actually editing. So it's not very intuitive in the same way that the cubes were intuitive. Um, There's also some problem with texturing. I think this can be solved, but I didn't solve them. You can see that it looks fine, but there's definitely some room for improvement. If we wanted this to be even smoother, we could smooth the placement of the vertices. And here's an implementation where I've done that. And as you can see, the terrain here becomes complete smooth. Right. The trees don't work with this smoothing, so please ignore that. But the terrain here is complete smooth, and this means that it's also very difficult to see what you're actually editing, right? Like you can see, I am removing something here, right? But it's very difficult to see what I'm removing. Also, it seems I'm removing from like, uh, yeah, I'm both removing some of the grass and some of the dirt. So it's a little bit whack, right? To kind of get the best of both worlds, I did another algorithm. I call it sticky cubes. The idea is that you represent the voxels as cubes, but then you also have some idea of smoothness to the cubes, so you can partially remove a cube. This will look like this. Sorry, it's loading, so it's a little bit laggy. Let me try again. It'll look like this, right? Um, and I think that looks kind of nice. It gives some idea of what you're editing. I can easily find out what I'm editing, right? It's like I'm editing this voxel right here. um, it does have some more sharp edges, so it's never going to be as smooth as the smooth Martin cubes. But I think that's okay for some games. You can also see there's some snapping going on, and that's when a voxel completely is removed, or when you place a new one. Generally, I think this looks very nice. I just want to show you why I call it matching cubes here. Not matching cubes, sticky cubes. So if you have two cubes next to each other and you, whoops. If you have two cubes next to each other and you partially remove them, they'll stick to each other and create a surface between them. if you have multiple cubes, they will also still stick together and still create a smooth transition from each voxel to the other voxel. And so they stick together, the cubes stick together. And that's why we call it sticky cubes. To show some of the cool things about this algorithm, I want to build a little house somewhere where you can see what it feels like to edit. Um, yeah. So let me build a little stone floor here. Maybe I'll do like this. As you can see, it's very intuitive where I am placing the blocks because it's just in a grid. Right? Whoops. Let me do like that and like this. Now, creating very sharp edges is something that we usually want to do when we build houses or other structures. And so cubes are great for this, right? But sometimes we also want some smoothness. Um, so maybe I wanted a window here, but I didn't want it to be a complete square. So I can do something like this, right? And that looks great. I can also maybe, whoops. Yeah. I can also make a roof. So let's do that. Let's make a stone roof. You can see being able to just make a smooth transition like here. Well, or I mean, the the roof here looks not that blocky, right? It looks way more smooth than it would if you just place blocks. And this is like one of the features that this algorithm allows you to do. So it allows you to have partially smooth uh, terrain while still being able to place blocks like you normally would in games. In some games at least. Find the right. Here it is. Right. And so now we have a little house, and you can see it has a smooth roof, and it has some hard edges here. You could say, well, I want the door to be a little bit bigger, so we can do something like this. Try and make them match a little bit here. Something like that. I think that looks great. Yeah. So that's what it feels like to use this type of to use this algorithm to build houses and probably also other structures. Let me find the right one here. And nope, this one. Yeah. So here we can like shrink the pillars to fit whatever we want. And that's great. You wouldn't normally be able to do this with neither of the other algorithms because marching cubes can't make pillars um, and you can't shrink cubes in the normal cube terrain. And so something like this is pretty cool, I think. Yeah. I don't know how great of a fence it would be, but yeah, there's a fence here. um, yeah. So I think that's all I wanted to show. So thanks for watching. Maybe I'll give an update in the future.